So I wanted to go over the answers to our week 1 distance learning questions just so you can go back and double check and see how you did. And if you have any questions, then of course, please email me or send me a note on Google Classroom. The expression shown can be used to calculate the amount of money in dollars a grocery store customer used to receive when change was paying for $50. What amount of change in dollars should the customer receive? So remember, we did this at the beginning of the year, and we are going to have to use PEMDAS. So we can see we do have this giant parentheses within this. So I'm going to rewrite. And within that, we need to go in order from left to right. So we're actually going to have to multiply these first. So 50 minus, I'm going to go ahead and write my 14 plus 12. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4. And then I still have my parentheses. So within that, I have addition, subtraction. We need to go in order from left to right always. So 50 minus. I'm just going to break this up into chunks. 14 plus 12 is 26. 10 plus 4 plus 3 is 17. So I still need to add those. 26 and 17 is 43. And then I can subtract and I get 7. On number 2, it says Serena bought 5 shirts for $6 each and spent $7 on lunch. So you can see here, this is a negative because she bought them and spending money is negative. She paid for the shirts and lunch using her debit card. The change in the balance of Serena's checking account can be represented. So again, PEMDAS. And we have multiplying and we have subtracting. So we need to multiply first, but we also need to remember our integer rules. A negative times a positive is a negative. And now we can see that our signs are the same. So we need to add for a negative 37, which was A. On the next one, Luann is playing a math game. She chooses 3 cards. The value of her card is shown. So she has a negative 12, a positive 3, and a negative 5, and we need a sum. So negative 12, positive 3, negative 5. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can go straight across like PEMDAS. You can put all the negatives together because these are the same. So we would add, so a negative 12 and a negative 5 is a negative 17. And then we have a positive 3. Now they're different, so we would subtract for a negative 14. So that was the end of day 1. On day 2, we had some fractions that we needed to work with. She has 120 caramel apples to sell. Each caramel apple is covered in 1 topping. How many caramel apples were covered with sprinkles? So we're looking for the rest. So remember that if you're doing 1/5 of means times 120, and you can do top times top, bottom times bottom, or you can cross reduce. I'll just go straight across. 120 divided by 5 is 24. Had peanuts. We can do the same thing. 1/3. Now remember, we also talked about fractions. If you have a 1 in the numerator, you can just simply divide. 40 had chocolate chips. 3/10 times 120 over 1. So 360 over 10, take off a 0. So I have 36 that were covered with coconut. Now, the rest were with sprinkles, so we're going to have to write an equation, or an expression, 120 minus the 24 with peanuts, the 40 with chocolate chips, and the 36 with coconut. So we need to add these together. We got 100. So 120 minus 100, we know, is 20 had sprinkles. The second one on day 2, it says Marsha gave the cashier $20 to pay for 3 pairs of socks, and she got $503 back. Each pair of socks costs the same amount. What is the cost for each pair? So we know 20 minus 3 times the cost of the socks, because we have the cost of the socks times 3, equals 503. So we need to use what we remember about solving equations. We're going to undo the add subtract. That was a positive 20, so we need to subtract 20. And remember, these are different, so we need to subtract. I'm going to rewrite them so that my 20, which is my larger absolute value, is on top. 10, 9, 9, 1. So 1497. So 3 times the cost is equal to a negative 1497. Make sure you bring that negative down. And we're going to divide by a negative 3. Remember, a negative divided by a negative is in fact a positive, so we'll get a positive value of money. So 4 is 12, 29 is 9, and 27 is 9. So the cost of the stocks was $4.99 for each pair. As we look at our number 3 on day 2, Fatima paid for 5 pallets of grass to be delivered. Each pallet cost $29.95 and she paid $76.20 for delivery. So remember, she did buy 5 pallets, so we're going to say $129.95 times 5, and this goes back to our multiplying with decimals. That's 47, 49, 14, 6. So 1, 2. So she spent $649.75, and some of you did pick that because you forgot to add in her $76.20 for delivery. 15, 12. So $725.95 was what I was looking for there. And the last question this week, Andreas will practice his band for 1.5 hours on Monday and 1 3/4 hours on Tuesday and 2 hours on Wednesday. Next week, he plans to practice for the same amount of hours. What is the total over 6 days? And that is the piece that some of you missed. So if we have 1.5 hours plus 1.75 hours plus 2 hours, you could leave those fractions and make a common denominator if you wanted, or because those are benchmark fractions, we could very well go through and just make them decimals. And some of you put A because you missed this 6 days. This was only 3 days. So then we needed to say 525 times 2, or you could add 525 and 525 again. 5. So I was actually looking for B. I hope this helps. Please let me know if you have any questions.